Hello everyone, and welcome to my Handcraft Your Life series, where I get to talk about all the ways that you can bring creativity into every part of your life. Today I'm going to show you 10 different projects that are made from paper, and all of these are really simple and they happen to be our member favorites. So you might want to take a look at how you can add some of these into your life by decorating a party or giving a gift, or even just something to do on the weekend with your kids. If you've been over to our site, you know that paper flowers are one of the things that we love to do. And I think that this paper flower daisy is the easiest flower that you can start with. And it's something that you can make, or you can make it with your children. There's so many things you can use it for. Use it to decorate your home or your table. It's a great gift to hand to someone. You can also make a summer head wreath. So if you're going to start making paper flowers, this is a great one to start with. Below you'll find a link where we have the template and a step-by-step tutorial so that you can make these pretty daisies. This paper project is so cute, and we have different varieties and sizes that you can make. We have these both in tutorials and templates where you can make them yourself, and we also have these in kits. I just think this makes such a cute little decoration for your home and even for your kids' room. And the best thing about these paper cacti is that you never have to water them. You'll find the links below for the template, the tutorial, and even the kit for these projects. Continuing with the paper plants theme are these paper air plants. And I have these all over my house. I have them on my bookshelves. I tuck them into these little sculptural items. I even have some hanging on the wall. The nice thing about these plants is that you just need some lightweight paper, and I'm using a frosted paper here for this one. And this is made out of somewhat of a vellum paper. Then you just need a pair of scissors. You can curl these with your scissors or with a curling tool, and you need some hot glue, and you have yourself some beautiful plants that will be live year-round. You'll find the links to the templates, tutorials, and the kits for these down below. Another one of my favorites and the member favorites is this beautiful piece of art that we can hang on the wall. Now this would be great if you put it in a shadow frame, or you can just add some clips on the top and hang it on your wall just like that. Now this might look a little bit more complicated, but it's really not. It's quite simple. All you need to do is cut all of these leaves out in different colors of paper, and we have the templates and tutorials for all of these, and they show exactly how you might want to curl and shape each leaf. You glue them onto this heavy cardstock that you can find at the art supply store, and you have yourself a beautiful piece of art. There is something so charming about paper lanterns. Now, of course, you're not going to want to put a real candle in there, but you can use those little LED lights and pop them in and have these running. In the winter time, you can place these on your mantle, use them for a party, even for a wedding. On our site, we have a huge variety of paper lanterns for different seasons, different themes, but I have to say that these classic lanterns are definitely one of my favorites, and you can find the template and the tutorial on how to assemble these in the links below. Another charming project are these paper pumpkins, and I made these a few years ago, and I keep them in a box where I make sure that they stay fresh, they don't get smashed, and I pull them out every fall to decorate from fall all the way through Halloween. This is such a great project to make with your kids or with your friends. So I'm going to show you exactly how to assemble these, and you can find the SVG cut file and the PDF if you want to cut it by hand in the links below. For each pumpkin, you will need to cut 4 different pieces, and I have 2 pieces in orange, and of course you can make them in white or in the craft color or whatever color of pumpkin that you want to make. Then I have a little green leaf, and that's also in cardstock. This is all in cardstock. And then I have a little piece of brown, which I'll use for my stem. So this is how I make it. I'm going to want the texture on the outside, so I'm going to turn it over. So we have the flat side, since this is a textured cardstock. Then I'm taking this little piece And you can see how I'm folding it right here along the center. These little legs go upwards. And then I will fold the top little hands like this. So I'm going to glue these two top tabs together. Just drop just a little ball of glue there and overlap them. I want them to overlap so that one doesn't show behind the other. The next thing I'll do is add a bit of shape to this cardstock. It will make it easier and give it a nicer roundness if I do it before I actually fold it. So one way you can do it is just drag it right along the edge of your table like this. This is very easy. Another way you can do it is the edge of your scissors. It's a little harder because you need to get your long scissor in there and just give that some curl. And then the third way that you can do this is by using a curling tool. And this is a bit easier because it's sized nicer. All three work, so whatever you have available. And I do like to give this a bit of curl beforehand. It just makes it so much easier to assemble. This is fun for the kids to do too. As you do this, make sure you don't tear off your little tabs. So once that's done, I'm going to fold back each one of my little circular tabs. Again, we want to have that real direct fold at the center. Then we'll take the larger end of the dot, add some glue, and I'm going to place that right in the center of my pumpkin base. And one by one, with just a touch of glue, I am placing the circle right on top of the circle. And it actually works best if you go directly one across from the other. Things stay a little bit more lined up if you do that. So I'll do those two, squeeze them, make sure that they're all in place. And then we'll do these. And I'm positioning it so that these line up really nicely next to each other. And I find that I have a stash of these pumpkins that have lasted me quite some time. So once you have them made, if you store them so that they don't get smashed, you can use them year after year to decorate your home for Halloween or fall or harvest, any sort of harvest party. And I'm holding that, I can't get my finger under, so I'm just pressing it down while it dries. And that's actually a good idea too. You want to sort of give it a bit of a bounce to get that pretty pumpkin shape. And once that's done, we'll go ahead and add this stem. And we have this piece of kind of cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and give it some shape and curl it, but I think I'll do it a little bit at an angle. It's going to be easier to kind of roll that into a stem. Just roll that up. I like it a little bit loose so that it has some interesting texture to it. I think I'll clip the base off just a bit. Before I add this, I'm actually going to want to put my leaf underneath. So I'll fold the leaf in half and give it some curl with my curling tool or the edge of the table or scissors. I'll place that first onto the base so that it's tucked right underneath the center, the stem, and then put some glue onto the stem and put that on top. And there I have a pumpkin. Similar to the pumpkins are the paper apples. And again, this is one of our member favorites. Not only can you use them to decorate, but I think they're great for teacher gifts, or a teacher can make them for the students and place them on their desks. You can see here where we wrote the name of the student on each leaf, and then here's an apple for the teacher. You can find the templates and the SVG cut files for these apples below and all the different sizes. I'm going to show you exactly how to assemble them. The paper apple is very similar to the pumpkin, but there are a few slight changes in the shape, and I'll show you how that plays out. We have, again, two pieces for the apple. We have the apple itself and then the center. I have a stem and then I have this leaf, and it's sort of a double leaf. So we'll start by folding the center and then folding these little tabs over, adding just a bit of glue, and then placing one tab right on top of the other. I'll set that aside and let that cool. Then the next thing I'll do is I'll fold in each of these apple side strips. As you can see, if you look at the base of the apple, it has a pretty distinct fold to it, and that's what we want to recreate, rather than rounded at the bottom. Then just like the pumpkin, I will give some shape to each of the sides. And I'm not using cardstock. This is actually the text weight frosted paper for this. These are actually cardstock. You can use either one, but you'll notice that when you have this text weight, you don't have to curl it quite as much because it shapes really quickly. Then I'm folding these downward and placing this in the center, attaching it with some hot glue. And I'll press that down to make sure it stays secure. And just like the pumpkin, we will go ahead and add the glue and place each side right on top of each other, tab to tab. You don't want to get too much glue. It starts to get thick, so just enough so that it stays in place, but you don't want to overdo the glue. All right, I'm holding that down until it cools. You can even press it all the way down. Okay, then I'm actually going to give it a bit more shape on top because we want to give it the curl to be closer to the top of the apple, and you can actually do that before you assemble. You can do that with your curling tool, or you can do it afterwards like I am, and just pressing your fingers. You don't want to bend it, but just press your fingers and pinching it like pinching cheeks to make the apple stand up at the top. We'll get our little glue bits out. We're going to fold the leaf in half. You can also use your curling tool to help that, especially when you're using cardstock, because you can place it right along the line and then press the curling tool into it, and that will give you a bit of an edge so that you can get a nice straight line. We'll do the same here on the other side, and I actually want to flip it the other direction though. I'll show you why. And then I'll fold my leaf into itself so it looks something like this. I want to add just a bit of glue back there to hold it in place, and then a bit of glue on the back. I'll place that onto the center and just hold that until it cools. There we go. And then the stem, all I'm going to do is give it a bit of fold on the very tip. Place some glue on that, and then slide that right under the leaf. And there you have an apple. A very simple and basic paper craft project is making a paper bow. And this one here I actually designed about 6 years ago. And since then we've taken this idea and created different versions where you can mix and match. You can match the loops with a different tail. And we have a link below where you can see all the different varieties. But right now I'm going to show you exactly how to assemble these really simple paper bows. I'm going to show you how to make 3 different types of paper bows. We have 3 different ends. You can see you can choose, you can mix and match all of these. I have a single loop, and then I have a double loop, one on top of the other, and then a double that spreads. So let's go ahead and make these. The first thing you'll do, I like to give my paper a bit of curl. This is not cardstock, I'm using text weight. You can use cardstock if you want to. Then I'll add some glue to my tab and bring that right on top of the center. And you'll want to line this up so that you can see where the tab and the bow sort of change right there. You want to line that up. And I also might want to bend it just a bit. You can see that. Do the same to the other side, and use as little glue as you possibly can because we don't want it to get bulky. Again, I'm lining it up, and then I'm just folding it up barely. Then I'll take this piece and I'll place it behind. So this is what the bow will look like when I'm done. And fold this around, all the way around to the back, and then add a bit of glue. So there's the first bow. The second bow is very similar. I'm going to start with the larger loop. And for this one, I'll do the same thing where I'm going to line this up. I'm not going to bend this one up, and I'll show you why in a second. when we add the second layer on top, we don't want it bent up quite yet. So we'll do that, and then we'll do the same thing with this one. I'll curl it first. You don't have to curl it, it just makes it a little bit easier, especially if you're using a cardstock. Then I'm going to add the small bow right on top of the larger bow, and I'll match those up right in the center. So you can see why I wouldn't want this to be folded up. It would just, you know, press the top bow a bit more than I would want. Same thing with this. I'm going to place it on the back and line it up there on the edge so you can see this, and wrap my tab around the front and then to the back and glue the tab. And there's bow number 2. Okay, bow number 3, same thing, but we have 2 different bow loops on one. So very carefully, I have to make sure and do this fast enough so that my glue doesn't dry. I didn't actually curl these, and now I'm wishing I would have, but we'll try it without. So you can see I've lined those up. Do the same over here, and I'm lining up the corner to the corner here. Okay, I will tell you right now, sometimes when you add hot glue on top of hot glue, it will cause the first layer to release. So the trick is try not to put your hot glue, you know, do one on this side and one on this side, and that will help keep things in place. So there's the loops. Same thing with this. We'll place it onto the back. This one's a little bit trickier because we're actually going to have to tuck this underneath the ribbon, as you can see. So we're going to have to leave this loose and then tuck that back behind and between the loops and then these tails. So once I have that tucked and folded, I'll open that back up and then add some glue in between and then close it up. Remove all my glue strings, and there you have bow number 3. You can find more versions of how to mix and match these bows, and there's a link below for that. Over the years, one of my favorite gift toppers are making really pretty paper feathers, and there's so much you can do with them, adding details. I have 3 different cut files that you can use. I have them both PDF and SVG. You can use your cutting machine or cut them by hand. I will show exactly how I add little details to just add some flavor. And again, this is one of my favorite gift toppers. You can see you can just slide that right into your ribbon. For these feathers, we have both the PDF so you can cut them by hand, and I've cut a lot of these by hand, or you can cut them on the cutting machine. Either way, we have the files for you. So the first thing I would do once I've cut them is fold them in half, and you have to be kind of gentle here. I'm not using a cardstock, which makes it a lot easier to fold, and I think it also gives a bit more of a feather look. One of my tricks when I'm folding is to open up my blade of my scissor and actually just place that in the center and just press it into my hand, and that will give me kind of a scoring line. If you want to, you can actually do a scoring on your cutting machine as well, but this works, so this is how I do it. So I've done that, I've scored it. That makes a really easy fold. And then once I've folded it, I might want to give it a bit of a shape. Maybe not. You can leave it flat if you want to. Just folding it gives it quite a bit of shape as well. You can just, you know, drag your curling tool along the edge. Then I like using my small scissors for this. And I'll go in and I try to somewhat follow the lines of the cutouts, and I'll just go in there and make my feather have these little teeny tiny fringes. Now you don't have to do this. You can actually use the feather as is. Once you've cut it, that looks really pretty too, but this is another alternative. I really love these scissors. They have a very fine point and they're sharp, and you can just get in there and see exactly what you're doing without the scissor points getting in the way. So I'll go all the way to the tip, and then I'll turn it around and go down the other side. And of course, I'm leaving enough in the middle for a spine so that they all stay together and the feather doesn't fall apart. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's interesting. I find it easier to go up the feather than down, so I'm actually going to turn this one over and go from the back side. I think I can just see it better or something. Another thing too, you don't have to cut the whole feather. You can just fringe the tip if you want to, maybe the bottom third, if that, you know, seems interesting. Maybe we'll try that on the next one. All right, there we go. So there is my feather, and that is just so beautiful. And so many ways you can use this. Another thing that I like to do when I'm making these paper feathers is add a little bit of detail, and sometimes using a gold pen is just the touch you need. So here we have this gold pen, and I just want to add a gold, whoops, we just dripped on that. Now we're dripping some more. Okay, so I don't know what happened here. My gold pen just dripped all over the place. So I'm gonna go get another gold pen. However, I wanna show you how beautiful that is, and I'm actually going to use that feather just like that. So I'm gonna let it dry and we'll come back to it, okay? This little feather is a different shape, and you might wonder how you're going to fold that and cut that. So this is the trick that I use for this one, is I'll use my tip here. This is actually a scoring tool on the curling tool, and you can use a boning tool or even a skewer or something like that that has a nice tip. And I'm actually just gonna draw right down the center of this feather, but give it a curve. Once I've done that, I'll gently bend it in. And I'll go with my scissors. I like to start at the bottom, and you can see we have some little curlies down there. You don't have to cut all of those. I'll just go in and kind of trim each of the little tiny pieces so that it goes all the way almost to the spine, and then continue. And you can kind of twist this if you want to, and it gives it a bit of a shape. Looks like a little bird feather. The medium feather is halfway between the small and the large. The large is very straight, the small is very curved. This is slightly curved, so I'll do the same thing where I use this part of the scoring and just draw a line right down the center. Use that to fold. And for this feather, I'm not going to go ahead and fringe the whole thing. I'll just fringe part of it to show you some variety. But I do want to give these fringes a bit of a curl. So I'll do that first. Then I'm just going to fringe from here to the tip. Flip it over and do the same on the other side. And there you have that feather. To add some detail to this feather, I'm going to add some dots at the base. I have my white Posca pen here, which is a bit of a paint pen, and I'm just barely dabbing the tip. And I'll make them further apart as I move up the feather and sort of ombre them out. So just a little extra detail that you can add. So I tested this pen and it's not quite as drippy, so I'll show you exactly what I was thinking. So on the gold, I really like to do the tip and just give it a nice V here in the center. And you can do this on both sides if you want to. And this is a real foil-like gold. You might want to let that dry before you turn it over though. Then go ahead and do the other side. Give it a nice V. And we'll go ahead and cut fringe right into that one. This one I might just leave as is. It's really quite pretty. It almost looks like a piece of art, like I did it on purpose. So I don't think I'll cut into that one. I'll use it just as it is. So I'll let that dry, and then I'll do the same thing where I fold it and fringe it. We've used paper feathers in different ways as well, where hanging them from a chandelier or making a backdrop for a party. Any way you use them, they're just really pretty, and I love that bohemian feel that they bring to a room. If you were to ask me what one of my favorite things on our site would be, I would have to say that it's our candy huggers. Over the years, we started with a set of 4, and we've built more and more. We have dozens of different animals, and here we have these little monsters. I know we have some little Christmas huggers as well. These are so fun. This is perfect if you do have a cutting machine because it will cut all these details, but you could also cut them by hand, and we have the patterns for those down below. So what we like to do with these is get these cute little candies. You can do candies or pencils or any sort of thing, maybe even a gift card that you can tuck right here. You'll want to use that really sticky tape that you can get at the craft store, and then you just wrap it up, wrap the arms around your little gift in the middle, and add the little glue on top as well. And that makes such a cute gift. And I think that not only kids love this, but adults love this as well. So there are 10 different easy paper projects that you can add to your handcrafted life. Make sure that when you do make your projects and take pictures for your social, that you use #MadeWithLeah so we can follow along with your creative journey. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you can see the next episode of Handcraft Your Life. Not sure where to start your crafting adventure? Pop on over to leahgriffith.com and we will help you jump in.